If you feel like your metabolism is working against you and has slowed down, especially the older you get, what used to work for you doesn't work anymore, or maybe you're just dealing with a lot of kind of seemingly random signs and symptoms that you know are not normal. And just because they're common does not mean they're normal. So if you're watching this, then chances are you suspect that your metabolism needs some support and you're wondering, what can you actually do about it? So, I want to get right into it. I don't want to waste any time. I want to keep this short and sweet. And I also will share with you some other ways to get support from us inside the Well Nourished program. So, know that we're just scratching the surface here, but I do want to give you some things that you can start with right away, knowing that you can build and actually get more of a customized plan from there. So, let's get into it. How to repair your metabolism. So let's define what a healthy metabolism actually looks and feels like. There's a lot of misinformation and just kind of misconceptions about a healthy metabolism. So I really want to highlight what it is and what it is not, and look at it more on a physiological level versus kind of the conventional diety sort of lens that we're often exposed to, especially with social media and Dr. Google. So, your metabolism is essentially the process that your body goes through in order to convert food into energy. I know that sounds a little sciencey, but I'm going to break it down so we can relate it to the signs and symptoms that you're experiencing. But first, I want to touch on some metabolism myths. So, number one is that your metabolism only determines your weight or how much you can eat. So, if you have a fast metabolism, that means you can eat a lot. I hear this a lot from clients or just people who say their, kids or their husband or their partner, they're blessed with a fast metabolism, meaning they can eat a lot. I don't look at that as necessarily a blessing because what we're putting in our body really does matter for our internal health. But your metabolism goes so far beyond that. Your metabolism also is not something that just inevitably slows down as you get older. There's also an accumulative effect of things that you're doing over decades for some. And even in our teens and our 20s, that impact our metabolism in our 30s. So it's not something that inevitably has to slow down, but it often does because we are working against it and we're not intentional with some of the strategies that I'm going to go over in just a minute. And then lastly is that you have no control over it. You actually have a lot of control over it and you can improve it no matter your age or your genetics or other health conditions that you have going on. So, metabolism facts, it is adaptive and reactive. It's not stuck or static. It is influenced by factors that are 100% in your control, and it influences anything in your body that requires energy. So, let's talk about that more. Your metabolism influences anything in your body that requires energy. I really want to drive that home because then we can understand how it's connected to essentially every single symptom that we're experiencing. And I have clients who will come to me having worked with other practitioners or doctors or nutritionists or naturopaths, and they're working on specific symptoms without addressing the metabolism first. So, say they're working on a detox program or a gut protocol, or they're trying to work on balancing certain hormones, but they don't have the actual energy requirements to support those systems. That's why we have to support the metabolism first. So we want to support the metabolism. That's the first domino that needs to fall over. It impacts your hunger and appetite, your digestion, your body temperature regulation, your hair, your skin, your nails, your detoxification abilities, your immune health, and also that would tie into any autoimmune related diagnoses or symptoms that you've had, whether that is rheumatoid arthritis or Hashimoto's, or even things like endometriosis. And then hormone production as well. So we need a healthy metabolism to produce hormones, whether that's thyroid hormones or sex hormones like estrogen and progesterone. And we also need it for good energy production, right? So our energy levels throughout the day and our moods. All of these things require energy. So hopefully that makes sense. This is why, and this is the last thing I'll tie into our symptoms, a sluggish metabolism can show up in so many different ways, not just your weight. So low energy and fatigue, low mood, slow digestion, especially constipation, bloating, reflux, food intolerances. We see this a lot, especially in women who have hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's. hair loss, brittle nails, or your nails just will not grow, dry skin, poor appetite, so you're not hungry, especially in the morning, huge metabolism red flag, unexplained weight gain, or you can't lose weight. Maybe you did lose weight at first, but now you can't. Hormone imbalances. So these are showing up as different cycle irregularities, heavy periods, PMS. Maybe you are having other symptoms that have been diagnosed, like PCOS, still related to hormone imbalances, or endometriosis, more related to sort of an estrogen dominance picture. If you have a hard time or difficulty getting pregnant and you've been trying intentionally, cold hands and feet or feeling cold all the time, so issues with that body temperature regulation, and then you're unable to fall asleep and or stay asleep, so you're waking up frequently. And that ties back to our body's ability to also balance blood sugar well. So, your metabolism, the reason we have so much control over it is because it's fueled by the food that we eat. That includes the calories, the energy in food, and calories are essentially a unit of energy. So, calories coming in and then nutrients, so vitamins and minerals. So, ideally, we're pairing those calories with good vitamins and minerals. Otherwise, we're eating and we're getting in energy, but we're still undernourished because we're not getting those vitamins and minerals or the protein and the carbs and the fats that we need to help things like blood sugar balance, as an example. So it's fueled by the food that we eat, and then also it adjusts or adapts in response to stressors. And I don't just mean the stress of sitting in traffic or having a busy schedule or those like kind of mental, emotional stressors that we think of typically. I mean physical stressors that we could be unknowingly putting our body under. It could be from nutrition, from exercise, from the environment. And then also stressors can be real stressors. They can be anticipated stressors or perceived stressors. So they might not even be real, but the way that our brain is communicating with our body makes it think that it's under stress. So stress can fall into a lot of categories here. But the good news is that means we have a lot of control over it because we can work on building stress resiliency, lowering stress where it's in our control, getting really clear on where it's coming from. And also, we have control over what we're putting in our body and also what we're putting out of our body. So, how we're actually expending energy. Okay, so I want to paint a picture of what is possible with a healthy metabolism. That's kind of the premise of the Well Nourished program and what I describe as the well nourished woman. She has a strong metabolism, and that's why she feels so amazing. She has steady energy all day long. She falls asleep and stays asleep. She has strong and healthy hair and nails, clear skin. She is able to maintain her weight without restriction or dieting or not being able to eat out or having to skip dessert, good digestion without bloating or reflux or indigestion, happy and positive moods, regular cycles with minimal PMS. Yes, that is possible. Your period should kind of sneak up on you. You don't even realize it's coming because you feel so good going into it. Warm hands, warm feet, and nose. You're not getting cold all the time. Strong libido, strong immune system, recovering easily from workouts and actually able to build muscle well. And then mentally, your thoughts are not consumed by food all the time. You know what to eat, you know when to eat, and you feel really, really good doing it. We're not going to get too much into what actually causes these shifts in your metabolism because I want to get into the actual steps you can do to improve it. But this is kind of a snapshot. These are what I call the modern day metabolism sabotagers. So, chronically dieting, for some people, that's intentional. For some people, they don't even know that they're under eating, fasting and skipping meals, over exercising or overtraining, always being on the go. You're a type A, you always want to be doing something, or maybe that's just how your schedule works out. Pregnancy or breastfeeding. That's why a lot of women will see shifts in how their metabolism functions after pregnancy or breastfeeding. Going low carb or going low protein, we need both of those macronutrients. Exposure to environmental toxins. This could be what you're putting on your skin or what is in your water or your food or the air. Low minerals, which we're going to get more into, and then unintentionally under eating. Okay, so how can you improve your metabolism? I'm going to break down 5 steps in more depth, but I want to just highlight first the most important steps. So I wrote out these 5 steps and I was like, let's circle back. If you dropped off here, these are the top 3 that you can start considering. Number 1 is nourishment, and nourishment comes from calories, adequate calories, blood sugar balance, and minerals. There's a difference between eating quote unquote healthy or clean and actually eating in a way that nourishes your body. That's what we teach inside the Well Nourish program for a reason, because it's not something we learn. It's not something we're taught. We really do have to kind of relearn and reframe the way that we're actually fueling our body. Number two is monitoring and lowering stressors that are in your control. And I'll give one example. Skipping breakfast is a huge stressor on the body. If you have it within your control to sit down and eat breakfast, even if it's just for 10 minutes, that's going to take a huge stress load off of your body. And then number three is supporting your gut. If you have digestive issues, this is especially important. If you don't have digestive issues, it's still important because your gut is going to help to regulate the rate at which you're burning calories and also influences things like your skin, your immune system, your thyroid function, which then influences your metabolism. So we do need to have a kind of constant need to support our gut. Okay, so step one is to eat enough. If you have been chronically dieting or chronically undereating unintentionally, maybe you've just been living off of 1,500 calories a day because your day is so busy and you don't even realize it, this is the first place that you can start. And I have to emphasize that eating enough during the day is what matters. It's not waiting until 1 p.m. and then overeating at night. So someone will say, I swear I eat enough. And then it's because at night they're having, they're really making up for all their calories that they needed to eat during the day. Sometimes they also confuse those as quote unquote cravings. It's just your body's need for nutrients. But during the day, when your body needs energy, so 3 solid meals, starting with breakfast. Leading with protein, I'll talk more about this in a second with blood sugar balance, but we really do want to be getting minimum 30 grams of protein. Protein is going to be very metabolically stimulating. And that's why I like to mention that one first and foremost when it comes to a healthy metabolism. And something I say a lot is that as women, we really need to learn how to eat before we think about how to not eat. A lot of people default, and even just general nutrition or diet advice out there, focus first on what to take out or what meal should you skip. It's like, should I do intermittent fasting? Should I cut out carbs? Should I do a 21-day sugar detox? An elimination diet? Should I skip a certain meal? When the reality is we just need to learn how to build our meals confidently and eat consistently. And when you do that, you can get fancy with all the other stuff if you want to, but we have to build this foundation first and foremost. So pictured here are some of my just random throw together meals. They don't have to look pretty, but they do balance blood sugar. They do taste good and they work for me. So you can figure out exactly what that looks like for you. And I will throw this out there because I know some women's, their jaws will drop when I say bare minimum 1,800 calories. And that's if you're not doing anything, you're not exercising or doing anything super energy intensive. We are throwing out the 1,200 and 1,500 calorie day diets unless you want to do more damage to your metabolism and then start to gain weight and start to experience low energy and digestive issues and hair loss and sleep problems and all of those negative side effects that come as a result of not eating enough. Step number 2 is balancing blood sugar. This is also the foundation for balanced hormones. Balanced blood sugar equals balanced hormones because blood sugar impacts your hormones like insulin and cortisol. We'll talk more about cortisol in a second as well. So in order to do this, I like to really hone in on the 3 M's: macros, meal timing, and minerals. We need all 3 macronutrients present at each meal: protein, carbs, and fats. We teach you how to customize those a little bit more inside Well Nourished, so you're very confident in best sources and how much to be eating, and also paying attention to how you feel based on that meal composition. Meal timing. So you want to be eating enough with your meal to stay full for 3 to 4 hours. And then also, if you need, everybody's a little bit different. Some are coming from really riding the blood sugar roller coaster for most of their life. And if that is the case, and they're really relying on carbohydrates where they always need a snack, or they get hangry if they go more than 2 hours without eating, or they need a granola bar or pretzels or chips or crackers or whatever it is to kind of keep them going, then that's a sign that they're running on carbohydrates. So for that, we would need to slowly shift from eating all of these small frequent meals to having more solid meals spaced 3-4 hours apart. I also give you snack recommendations that really help to balance blood sugar, but we do want to avoid the low lows that we can experience when we go too long without eating by supporting blood sugar balance. Because when blood sugar drops, cortisol, your stress hormone, increases. So you're basically stressing your body out all day. when you're not mastering this meal timing strategy. And then minerals, we need minerals to balance blood sugar, to actually use insulin well and get sugar out of the blood and into the cells or the muscle or the liver. So we need to look at not only getting the balance of macronutrients and the right meal timing, but also from the right sources that have key minerals that I'll talk about in just a second. And then lastly, not food related, I have to emphasize this because people will say, well, I'm eating enough, I'm balancing my macros, I'm good with the meal timing, but they're sleeping 6 hours and they don't get any sunlight, or they have a lot of blue light exposure at night. So we do have to support sleep and sunlight exposure. I always recommend to, when you're building your meals, if you're like, how do I get 30 to 40 grams per meal? Lead with protein. Start looking at your meal. Everybody wants to talk about eating more fruits and veggies or having organic foods, or, maybe you're focusing on what to cut out with like gluten or dairy. But we are talking about what we're adding in, starting with protein. That's the most important thing when you're traveling, when you're eating out, when you're building a meal at home. It's also going to be very satiating and it will prevent cravings and blood sugar crashes later on. So we start with our protein and then we add in our carbohydrates for thyroid health. And I give a lot of recommendations around different types of carbohydrates that work well for especially not gaining weight and not putting you on that blood sugar roller coaster. And then we need fats. We need healthy fats for hormones. So if you have ever gone low fat, you're eating below 70 grams per day, chances are your hormones are not producing or functioning as they should. So we need all three. Step number 3 is rebalancing minerals. And I say rebalancing because they all work together. So we can't just supplement with one mineral in isolation without looking at the other ones. We use a hair tissue mineral analysis to really customize this and figure out at a cellular level what's going on with your minerals. It also tells us how your body is responding to stress. But the 4 that I really like to focus on are calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium. As an example, with calcium and potassium, we need these in the right balance in order for thyroid hormone, which is the regulator of our metabolism when it comes to hormones, in order for that to get into the cell. So we need it for a healthy metabolism. If potassium is too low, that's a sign of a sluggish metabolism, or it's going to lead to a sluggish metabolism rather. And then also we can look at your sodium and your magnesium. And if that ratio is low, we know that your adrenals are actually extremely fatigued and you're going to be less resilient to stress. So that's why I love minerals for so many reasons. We can use them to make our body more resilient to stress and therefore not stressing the body out as much. It's not interpreting all of the external factors as a stress. It's not holding on to energy and slowing things down. And we also need these minerals just for energy production. So I find that really starting with minerals is a great place. It's very easy as well for a lot of women because they improve their energy and they notice other things clear up as well. So digestion improves, skin improves, sleep improves. But you do have to make sure that you're getting the right balance for you. You can't just blindly supplement with random minerals. And we do make a lot of recommendations for starting to focus on them with nutrition and with food specifically. Step number 4 is cortisol conscious routines. So I feel like cortisol has gotten a lot of attention lately. So unless you're living under a rock, you know that cortisol is your stress hormone. It's actually not bad. It's very demonized, but we need cortisol. It helps us to feel alert and awake and respond to stress. Where we can go wrong is if it's too high for too long or high when it shouldn't be, or if it's low because we are so exhausted. So one of the things that influences cortisol is light and dark exposure. That's why we work on supporting our circadian rhythms in order to support our metabolism. Stress can be mental, emotional, anticipated, or real. So we have to keep that in mind when we're looking at, is my body actually under stress? A lot of people say they're not under stress, and then we look at it, we do the deconstruct your day exercise, and we can see all the different parts of your day where your body is under lots of stress. We can also have nutrition stress. So simply not eating enough, skipping meals, riding that blood sugar roller coaster, that will impact cortisol. And then there's workout stress, the wrong type of workout or at the wrong time, or if you're doing too much in not meeting those energy needs by fueling your body well and sleeping and recovering, that's a huge stress on the body. So we want to be able to recover from the workout stress itself. And workouts are a stress on the body. That's the benefits of workouts come in that recovery process. So this here is just a little snippet of a Dutch test that we do with clients, and it shows how your cortisol pattern should be throughout the day, where it's rising in the morning and then it declines in the afternoon and into the night when it should be at the lowest. So we want to support our cortisol's natural rhythms during the day. This is basically your 24-hour cycle. So we have a 24-hour cycle, and then we also have a 28-ish day cycle with our sex hormones and those cyclical hormones. So we support both cycles. We support our cortisol cycle and we support our hormonal cycle or our menstrual cycle. And that can really help a lot to decide how to nourish our body, what to eat, how to move, what inputs it needs, and also support our metabolism. And then step number 5 is with exercise and working out smarter, not harder or more. More and more exercise is going to be a stress layered on top of these other stressors that you might not be addressing. And so that's going to have a negative impact on your metabolism, and your body is not going to get the benefits. So we want to focus on a workout structure that builds muscle, because the more muscle you have, the more calories you're burning, instead of doing workouts that simply burn calories. So if you're sitting on a spin bike and you're just doing a 60-minute Peloton session, you're burning calories during that time, and it's good for, cardiovascular health, but it's not good for metabolic health in a sense of we're building a healthy muscle base, basically. So we want more muscle equals more calories burned, even when you're not exercising. Movement throughout the day actually really matters too when it comes to supporting our metabolism. So I would rather you move all day long, stand up, walk around, go for little walks here and there, than do a hard 60-minute workout and then sit on your butt all day long. For a lot of women, they're coming from different places with their exercise. So I do want to stress the importance. It's not just a matter of exercising less if you're doing a lot right now. And it's also not just a matter of exercising more if you're not doing anything. You need to evaluate where you're at from a nourishment standpoint, first and foremost. From there, you can figure out, do you need to increase your exercise? Do you need to maybe scale back a little bit because it's causing more stress and inflammation and you're not recovering well? Do you just need to change the type? So instead of doing cardio or Orange Theory classes 6 days a week, maybe you need to focus on more strength training and then sprinkle those cardio sessions in. Or do you just need to focus on renourishing your body first? I do work with some women who are so depleted. We can see this from their minerals. They've been chronically dieting or unintentionally under eating or riding the blood sugar roller coaster. And even just a small workout really does kind of knock them out. And maybe they get sick or they don't feel well, or they're just not ever recovering and they're not feeling well. So in those scenarios, you do have to build up those nutrient stores first before deciding what type of workout structure to do. I wanted to give you a couple bonus strategies. So those are the 5 that are going to make the biggest difference. But bonus strategies, and I guess these are still important actually. These are just as relevant, but they are just a little bit more kind of fine tuning. So number 1 is supporting your gut health. We like to do this with the basics of just how to support digestive function. We use some targeted supplementations for some clients depending on their symptoms. And then we can also use a GI map test if we really want to dig further and get some more data. We can see the actual bacterial makeup or the gut flora. And we can also see how well you're breaking down things like fat, protein. We can see how your gut immune health and your immune response is. We can look at inflammation in the gut. So it's really helpful to see that from a data standpoint. And then also working with your cycle. One of my favorite things is helping women actually understand how their cycle works, because as your cyclical hormones shift throughout the month, so does your metabolism, so does your mood, your energy, your sleep, even your digestion is influenced by estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. So those sex hormones that change throughout the month. The thing that I want to tie this into with your metabolism is during the second half of your cycle, you actually have an increase in metabolism, and that is due to the production of progesterone. So after you ovulate, you produce progesterone. Progesterone raises your body temperature and increases your metabolic rate, which is why you need more calories during the second half of your cycle. And you need to be more intentional with getting in nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and balancing your blood sugar. It's going to make a huge difference when it comes to having less PMS, less cravings, and less fatigue because you're eating more to match that additional energy that your body's burning. So, from also a fat loss standpoint, we can use this to our advantage where during the first half of our cycle, we're actually able to focus a little bit more on fat loss. And then during that second half of our cycle, we're really focusing on nourishing our body. So, that is one last kind of strategy and tip that I wanted to give. If you want more support, then I encourage you to apply for our Well Nourished program. This is our 12-week functional nutrition program. It is meant to be a hybrid program, so you're getting one-on-one and group support. There's also a lot of this is very good for kind of the self-led woman who likes to learn and educate herself and can go at her own pace through these resources while also getting check-ins, messaging support from me. So, it really is designed to give you the step by step to restore your metabolism. We cover the 5 steps that I talked about. We cover understanding and tracking your cycle, and we also cover gut health and supporting your digestion. So you're optimizing hormones, you're improving your energy, you're improving your digestion while also giving you, and that's why this is why I love Well Nourished, because it's not just a group program and it's not just intense one on one. You'll still get the answers that you need to apply for your individual needs and your goals. So, we do use functional lab testing. You do get one on one support. We actually use the HTMA test for all of our clients within Well Nourished. And so, you can get a little bit more customization in that as well. So, if you want to, or you're interested in learning more about this program and you want to apply, you can either just DM me on Instagram. I'm Meg Crozier NTP. Just send me the word nourish and I will shoot you over that application. Or I will put a link below this video if you want to apply through that link. Okay. I hope this is helpful for you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me on Instagram or you can just comment below this video and I'll be happy to answer it. And I hope this was helpful for just understanding how our metabolism works and really how much control you have over your metabolism if you're able to take these steps.